Welcome to The Rebel Rebel. It's a podcast for creative rebels and entrepreneurs. I'm your host, Michael Dargie. I'd like to thank our sponsors for everything they do, not just for the show, but out in the world as well. Make More Creative and Brand Jitsu are on a mission to help companies find and tell their unique stories so everyone gets it. You can check them out at brandjitsu.co. The Friday Sock Company is home of the ethically made mismatched socks. Their entire reason for being is to bring you super fun, purposely mismatched socks. That's right, mismatched, on purpose. They're designed in Canada, made in Italy. Check them out at fridaysock.co. In this episode, I learned what it's like to be a rebel accountant with Kaitlin Kirk. Kaitlin was born to be an accountant, but not your typical one. She can be found on YouTube, on stage doing improv, helping out nonprofits, and when she's not giving you the ins and outs of business taxes, check out her website, The Captain's Club, where she teaches simple, ready-to-use courses on helping your business grow. Please welcome to the show, Captain Kirk, not a real captain. Hey, I'm sitting here with Kaitlin Kirk. We're in the Kensington studio, just outside of downtown Calgary. It's snowy, it's cold. Kaitlin, you're in from Ottawa?
Yes.
How's it going?
Good.
Good?
Yes.
Excellent. Now it's a wet cold out there.
It is, yeah.
We got a nice dry cold.
Yeah, my wool coat works here, which is great.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't in Ottawa.
Awesome. For those of our listeners who don't know who you are, who are you? What are you doing?
I'm an accountant that is helping small business owners to work less and get paid more.
Oh, I like you so much. That's awesome. And I mean, but that's a small, now you're just not an ordinary accountant. If I could be so bold, the reason why you're on the show is I would consider you a rebel accountant. You've got a video channel, YouTube channel. I see your videos all the time, which are so cool. You're approachable. How did you decide? Did you decide to be a rebel accountant? What happened? I
was working in oil and gas in Calgary,
yeah.
And I was not loving the direction that it looked like my career was going.
Yeah.
And it felt very selfish to work in oil and gas and to, I would go to work and I'd come home and I'd play volleyball and then I'd do it again. And it felt very small and very like I have all these skills or like I know all this stuff because I went to school for so long.
Yeah.
And I'm just using it to make myself money. And that just felt wrong. Like it didn't feel like it was okay to do that for the rest of my life.
Wow. Did you find was it the drag of just doing the same thing over and over again, kind of like a Groundhog Day moment, or was it just purely like I can do more?
It was kind of both. It was not loving actually going into work every day. Like if I could work at home, I would have been much happier with it. But yeah, just that idea of like, what's the next level for me? Yeah. And if it's just moving up in this company, well, that doesn't seem like another level in a way. It doesn't seem any bigger than what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
So I'd been struggling with how to solve that problem. I really didn't know what was going to happen. And my partner encouraged me to start doing YouTube videos because I didn't want to take on more clients than I had because, going to work all day and doing accounting and then coming home for a side of accounting was, it was fun. Like that's what I wanted to do. Yeah. But it's also, I've got to go play volleyball and do all the things that are also things that I love doing.
Right. A life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he shoots videos quite regularly. And so he knows what he's doing on that side and sort of how to coach me through that. And he said, why don't you start doing YouTube videos just explaining the accounting questions that you get because you could be really fun on camera. Yeah. And this is a way for you to reach a lot of people without having to take on more clients.
That's awesome.
So it sort of started there.
Neat.
Yeah.
Well, and so I'll put links to all of your stuff in the sort of the channel notes or the episode notes. Because I remember, I want to say it was Instagram that I saw your first video. I could be wrong, but I think that it was there. I was scrolling through and then suddenly there's your face and you're talking about accounting stuff. And it was so charming and so fun. And I was like, that's different. So good on you. You're crushing it.
Thank you. Yeah.
Now you've got more than just the accounting thing too, right? You got your captain's club.
That's right.
Which I was checking out, which is I'm thinking I'm going to sign up for some courses.
Cool.
Because that's cool. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, that sort of stemmed from after moving to Ottawa and setting up this business, I had a very steep learning curve on the online marketing side.
Right.
I thought it would just be, oh, well, I've quit my 9-to-5 job, which means I have more time to do the fun accounting on the side. No, that is not how it works. You have to learn all this other stuff, which has been super interesting. But as I've been talking to more small business owners online, and I've been trying to do a bunch of market research to find out, what is it that people struggle with the most?
Right.
Mostly in research for the sales pages and whatever,
Yeah.
but mostly I got a lot of I don't even know how to ask for help.
Right.
And I can't pay an accountant because I can't pay, hundreds of dollars a month or in some cases thousands of dollars to do a tax return.
Yeah.
But they know that they're in trouble and it stresses them out. And and I realized that there's this need for a membership site, I think.
Right.
So I've never been a part of a membership site, but it's this idea where these really small business owners can come together and pay a little bit compared to what an accountant would normally cost.
Yeah.
And I'm just going to teach the fundamentals of business and finance. And
awesome.
Yeah, it won't be specialized to each business. It'll just be here's what we're teaching this month kind of thing. But I'm hoping that people can do their own books and their own,
Well, as a small business owner and a serial entrepreneur, I'm so in touch with those struggles because, I'm great at what I do. I suck at the accounting side of things. You know what I mean? Well, obviously, so that's really exciting to me. And I honestly didn't know Captain's Club, which I think is hilarious, by the way.
I wanted to be Captain Kirk.
I know. I thought it was great. And I also liked just a little side note here. You went with the ship wheel as opposed to the space theme that I was expecting.
Yes.
So I like that. I like those little things that flip me on my head a little. But yeah, I stumbled onto that. I'm just like, man, these are, and again, I'm not shilling for you on the show because that's not what it's about, but reasonably priced, $69, $54 or whatever, $79. Mm-hmm. This, I don't know. So I feel like I'm going to jump in and see if I can't, at least learn enough to, talk with my bookkeeper better. Right.
Yeah. And I think that's a big part of it is just learning enough to be able to ask questions.
Yeah, totally. Mm-hmm. Yeah. What can I write off? What can I write off?
That's right. Yeah.
That sort of thing.
How do I keep the CRA from coming down on me, or what do I do if they do come down on me? Or
It's fun. It's funny, but I've over the course of my career, I've talked with CRA from a personal standpoint because you got to pay your taxes, do your stuff, and they're great to talk to. It's not a big scary organization that everybody makes it out to be, which I think is something that people should know also.
Yeah.
Right. You can actually call them and be like, hey, here's where I'm at and this is what I'm doing. And, how do I go from here to here? And they've got a lot of answers.
Yeah. And there's sort of each individual person is usually a fairly nice person to talk to.
Right.
And the organization as a whole is an unfeeling organization, which is great.
Yeah.
Because then you can negotiate and you can say to them, this is what I need. This is what I'm willing to give up sort of thing. Here's my payment plan. Yeah. And they don't hold a grudge because you didn't pay your taxes.
Right. It's not personal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I found it to be very, very enlightening. And so, caps off to CRA. Some people, I might get letters, but yeah, I quite like them. So, I mean, you talk about, deciding to leave big oil and gas money because it's selfish. But you also talk about that you enjoy accounting and that you would do accounting during the day, then you come home and do accounting during the night.
That's right.
So is that your happy place?
Yeah.
So
I just
that
love
is
it.
so foreign to me.
it's problem solving, which I love doing. And it's pretty creative, believe it or not. And I know people will be like, creative accounting.
Yeah.
But because we have a principles-based system here and not rules, it's how can you apply these principles to the situation that you're looking at right now?
Can you explain that? What's principle versus rules-based?
So in the States, they have a very rules-based system. So they have specific rules that you have to follow.
Right.
And most accountants, well, I shouldn't say most, but the big businesses are always in search of loopholes in those rules.
Yeah.
But in Canada, the way that we've sort of gotten around it, or we've decided to combat that that culture of trying to find loopholes, is we have these principles instead. And we say, accounting should be done in this way. If you have this situation, we expect, I'm trying to explain this without getting too technical, but it's just if you have a revenue, for example, we have criteria that need to be met in order to recognize revenue.
Okay.
It's not specific, like if this, then this.
Right.
But it's an idea that you can apply these to different situations, and you can... There's a law or a rule where you can't violate the spirit of the principle. So even if you can get around it, if you've somehow violated what the point of it was, it's still not okay.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So in that way...
This feels so Canadian.
Yeah, it does, hey? So you get a lot of accountants that disagree on the application sometimes, especially in the really tricky and complicated pieces. But, there's been precedents said, and there's peer groups in a lot of cases, like in oil and gas. All the big oil and gas companies send a representative, and they come together and they talk about accounting, and they talk about how they apply the rules to things. And it's not like they're getting together to decide they're going to all do it one way to try and get around some rule. It's just sort of, hey guys, how are you doing this? Because this is hard, and it's it's a principle. It's not like...
Yeah, so, and I guess, so a principle to me means that it's somewhat open to interpretation. Rules, not so much.
That's right, yeah.
And if the guiding principle of the principle is that you're going to, sort of do things fairly and for the right reasons, I could see lawyers being really happy with that, because that seems like something they could argue a lot, like regularly. But I think the spirit of it is kind of nice. Like it's, I like that there's not, cut and dried loopholes, because eventually I can imagine in the US that you find a loophole, that loophole is going to get closed, but then they're going to find another loophole that closing of that loophole caused. Like it seems like an unwieldy, crazy machine.
Certainly the personal tax system in the States is very complicated.
Yeah.
Yeah, much more so than I care to get into.
Okay. So were you always wired for accounting? Like you say you're a problem solver. When you were young, were you just like, yeah, spreadsheets?
I feel like I was destined to be an accountant. Yeah. I've always been super analytical. Both my parents were programmers when I was a kid, and they wrote accounting software.
Oh, wow.
My grandfather was an accountant. It just felt like that was the thing.
Wow.
Like,
it's nice to know your life's work.
Yeah. I mean, there was always like, I'm going to be the prime minister, and I'm going to be like a translator, and I'm going to be like, as a kid, you have all these. But I don't know. I took hotel and restaurant management right out of high school, because I thought, I'm going to go and own a bar. This is going to be great.
Nice.
Yeah. But I graduated from that in 2008, which was right when the downturn happened. And it became very clear that was a very cyclical industry.
Right.
And so I realized I needed to do something else. But part of that diploma was an accounting course, just intro. And I took it and was like, this is it. This is it. This is what I need to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, man, that's so cool. Now you are you basically say that you're on a mission to break the stereotype of accountants, which I think that you're doing step by step, especially with your videos and your courses and stuff like that. What's sort of the next thing for you? Or do you feel that you've sort of reached that, or you can continue to bust through the wall? Like, what's kind of the today and tomorrow plan?
I think just trying to reach more people. I think that the way that I try to do things is I'm trying to address the emotional pieces that come with the accounting. Because a lot of small business owners, because they don't understand how it works, and a lot of times aren't very good at numbers, there's a lot of emotions, negative emotions that are tied up in that.
Right.
And I don't think it's okay to just say, give me your stuff, I will do it and hand it back.
Right.
Because it doesn't address how they feel about it. They still fear that piece of their business.
Right.
So I think it's really important to address that, and in those conversations with clients, just say, hey, look, it's okay to feel this way.
Yeah.
It would be unreasonable not to.
Yeah.
I've been in school for a really long time and I love this stuff. That's why it's not scary for me.
Right.
But if I was in your shoes and I had the same history and I thought the same way about things, I would feel the same way.
Right.
And just try to normalize that feeling for people.
Huh.
Yeah.
And give them sort of a what do they do next thing? Like, how can you do it better, or like demystify?
Here's the foundations that you need to know.
Yeah.
Here are the missing pieces. Here's exactly the steps that you need to take to get where you want to go.
Yeah.
And working with people to create a process that's right for them.
Yeah.
So doing that whole approach, like holistic approach to accounting, and just trying to get in front of more people, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. I mean, you're obviously going about it the right way. I mean, YouTube is such a fun way to, break out into the world. How are you finding being on YouTube? Like, do you have lots of interactions with people?
Not positive ones.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh no.
That's kind of how this whole thing got started in a way.
Okay.
There was another accountant, he must have been an accountant, write some really mean and in some cases scary things on one of my YouTube videos.
What?
Yeah, he Googled me. And so he's like, you're just a financial analyst, pulling in details that he clearly researched.
Whoa.
And he's telling me all these things about how your videos are inaccurate, and the inaccuracies he's describing are a difference in the term I'm using. Uh-huh. But it's if I use the proper term, no one's going to know what I mean because it's a technical term.
Yeah.
But he also said things like, your voice is annoying, which was well, now I have no respect.
Wow.
And at the end of all that, he said, you don't have a registered accounting firm. I wonder why you're doing this. And I was like, oh, what is that?
Wow.
Yeah, I had gotten through the entire CPA program and they'd never once described to me the nuances of public accounting.
Yeah.
I wasn't allowed to do my sister's tax return because it was technically public accounting, is what CPA Alberta told me.
Wow.
So I was like, what am I going to do? Now that I have letters, I suddenly can't help people. When I was a student and didn't have letters, it was fine.
Yeah.
But now I have letters and I can't help people because I don't have the proper experience and they won't let me register.
Weird.
Yeah, it was a really weird situation to be in. And I was doing consolidated financial statements for a $5 billion global operation.
Oh my God.
And they were like, no, you don't have billable hours. You are not qualified to help the one person corporation down the street.
What?
That's right. And I went back and forth with them a few times and they were like, nope, hard rule.
Jesus.
Yeah.
So what happened next?
I quit my job and I said, bye. And I left. I went to Ontario because they have the rules are different there.
Oh, okay. Interesting. So, that was on my list of questions to ask, is why leave to Ontario? So that answers that question. And I do have a really good friend that, was having some issues in Alberta as a CPA. They've got some weird rules. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
They didn't do a very good job, in my opinion, of explaining how that worked before I got to that place.
Isn't that weird? And I wonder why they would just sort of brush that over, unless it's not common for accountants to do what you're doing. The rebels.
Yeah, it is a little weird to go from industry back to public practice.
Yeah.
Normally it is the other way around. So I think what happened is when all the designations merged, you had these CAs who were doing the administration for the new CPA program.
Right.
And it used to be a CA, you had to do your experience in public practice.
Okay.
So if you had a CA designation, you, by definition, had to have the proper experience to register an accounting firm.
Okay.
So when all the designations merged and they said, you can now start doing your designation hours in industry, suddenly there's all these kids that are coming through that no longer have that experience to become public practice accountants.
Interesting.
So I think it's just a weird blind spot where, you're going to get probably more and more accountants that suddenly can't be in public practice unless they go and do 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah, and I don't know how that will affect the industry, to be honest, because it's really hard to do a designation in public practice.
Yeah.
You work a lot of hours and they don't pay you very much. And, that's why I went and did it in oil and gas. They paid me twice as much and I worked half as long.
Yeah, nice.
So, yeah.
Okay, so super cool to know. And crazy that you stumbled across it because of a troll.
Yeah.
And I've got a huge disdain for trolls. How did that affect you in putting stuff out? Did it worry you? Did you like? I'm just thinking myself. I'd be like, oh shit, man, maybe I shouldn't do this or whatever. So how did you manage that?
It was a tough couple days, and it got really wrapped into the idea of how am I going to help people now, because if I can't do this business, I'm stuck in like private companies now. So I had my designation for 8 months and I was on the phone in tears with CPA Alberta, just like, how is this possible?
Yeah.
How have you allowed this many kids to get out of CPA and they don't know this and they can't help anybody?
Yeah.
We have all these skills and we can't help people. Like even me, not having done public practice, I know way more about this stuff than like somebody who's never been to business school.
Yeah, right.
That's not okay. And I was going to give up my letters.
Wow.
Because I was so upset and so against this idea. But yeah, since then it's been very like, I know that I am always exposed to another accountant coming down on me and saying, this is not right. This is technically not correct or whatever. And it's every single time that I hear something like that, it's the details, like the tiny, tiny details and the like super specific situation that might not apply.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to give a general understanding of accounting and business.
Yeah. Well, so do you have to put like disclaimers and stuff like that now, or do you...
I do at the end of the YouTube videos.
Yeah.
I should probably on the Facebook Lives, just sort of as like this could be incomplete, that kind of thing.
Yeah, kind of a cover your ass.
Yeah,
thing, right?
It feels really like legal to do that. Like that's a weird thing to say, but like it feels cold to do that,
right?
To me, and
Well, but you
know.
could say it in the Kaitlin Kirk way.
That's true.
Right? You have such a charming personality on camera that I think you could say it in such a way that, would cover your ass, but also, not be impersonal.
Yeah, that's true. I should work on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay, cool. Man, yeah, so I haven't seen your Facebook Lives. How often do you do that?
I was doing it twice a week.
Yeah.
And then I got sick.
Yeah.
And I couldn't talk.
Oh, no.
So then I was like, well, I guess that'll be sort of on the back burner. And then I was developing those courses. And so I haven't done one in a little while, but I'm going to go back to at least twice a week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, cool. I'll make sure I keep an eye out for that. I will also put links to your Facebook on the thing so that people can follow you along. How are you liking Ontario?
I like it. Yeah. I paused before I said that only because I feel like I haven't really experienced it that much.
Right.
It's been so cold and we don't really leave the house.
Yeah, that is a thing.
Yeah, I go to volleyball and then I come back.
Yeah.
Ottawa's a really cool city, though.
Yeah.
There's so many old buildings there, and I love castles.
Yeah.
And everything looks like a castle, like the Parliament building, and like, so
That's cool.
It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, because I mean, Canada is young as it is. Calgary is young, and we tend to tear down anything old and put up something new. So it's always nice to go someplace where they, maintain that architecture and stuff. But yeah, like once you get out and now, had you lived in Ontario before?
I was born in Toronto.
Okay.
But we left when I was 6.
Okay.
So,
cool. So you didn't really experience like lake culture and
no
all that stuff, but that's coming.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah, I grew up just outside of Toronto.
Oh, cool.
Until I was 9, and I don't get back as often as I should, but I really, really like it. It's a great province. It's huge.
It is so big. Oh my God.
Yeah.
We drove out there in our little hatchback.
Oh yeah.
And we got to the edge of Ontario, and we were like, well, halfway there.
Right? Yeah. It's frightening to think of Alberta, Saskatchewan, Manitoba.
Yeah.
Now you're halfway.
Yeah. That's right. Oh, man. It was a little disheartening.
It's like we've been driving for so long.
Yeah.
Yeah. I used to have a house up in Cochrane, Ontario, and that was halfway as well. You'd get to literally the border of Manitoba and Ontario, and then you'd have to go north. And it's like literally halfway.
Yeah.
It was like, holy moly.
And you can't like gradually go north. You have to go like
Oh, yeah.
straight east and then,
Straight up. Yeah, a ridiculously large province. Damn. Now, you did say that you do numbers for fun, but talk to me about volleyball. So that's an uncommon sport?
Yeah, I played volleyball in high school, and then I went and I trained a little bit with the SAIT team when I went for my hospitality diploma, but I didn't join the team. So I played with them in the summer leading up, and then I didn't join the team. And then I didn't play for a long time, but it was one of those things that like I just love going to practice. Oh. Like I love the idea of you have to be a team, and you each have to play your role. Yeah. Even if it's outside of what's going on.
Right.
Because if you don't, you're like messing with the other roles of the team.
Right. So you're like a unit.
You have to play as a unit. Yeah. So I played with the college team in Victoria when I was there. I was the old girl. I turned 25 out there, and all these kids were like 19. I was like, oh man. Yeah, but that was...
Oh, my sciatica.
That's right. But it was great to get that level of coaching.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. It's just, I don't know. It's a very individual thing because your technical skills are very individual.
Right.
But it's also very unit-based. Yeah.
Gotcha. Now you're fairly tall.
Yes.
Are you the person at the net spiking the ball?
Yes. Yeah. When I play women's, I play middle, like the big, tall position. Yeah. But when I play co-ed against guys that are like 6'5", it's just not worth it for me to be in the middle. So, yeah. Right. I did get packed the other day.
Really?
I took one straight to the face. The ball like ate my face for a second and like popped off. I was like, oh boy, my lips are all tingly. I don't recommend that.
Oh my God. Wow. So I remember I haven't played volleyball since I think beach volleyball back when I worked for a company. And so that's different. But do the positions rotate around?
The people rotate and then you like switch.
Oh, okay.
Like right as the ball is in play, then you can go wherever you want.
Oh,
so
gotcha.
You just like switch to your position that you're supposed to play. Yeah.
So you don't always have to play backline if that's where you're at.
Right. Yeah. You get to come and play the front row and stuff like that. Yeah.
Cool. Beach volleyball? Is that
Oh my goodness. If I could play beach volleyball all year, I would.
Yeah.
Twos is the greatest thing.
Really?
There's so much strategy and finesse, and it's so much about you and your partner. And like, if I screw this up, if I screw up this pass, hopefully my partner can run it down, but then I'm responsible for that afterwards. Right. Oh, it's just the greatest.
Oh, that's awesome. Have you ever played beach volleyball somewhere like on a beach? Like,
yeah. We went to LA and played on like Malibu Beach, and we were in Venice Beach. We played on the Santa Monica Pier, like right next to the pier. We happened to be there when the Unknown Orchestra was playing like Thursday late night So I guess it was this thing that they were doing.
Wow.
Yeah, so we're playing beach volleyball under these lights, and the whole beach is full of people. And they're like watching us play, basically, because you can't see the orchestra on the pier from where we were.
Right.
Yeah, I was like, that was a cool experience.
That's surreal.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It was like just everybody smoking dope. It was really weird. A friend of mine that we were with, he's like, am I going to get high? I was like, no, sweetie, we're outside. You're okay.
You'll be fine.
You'll be okay. Yeah.
That's awesome. Every time for whatever reason, what came into my mind was, oh my God, Danger Zone, like Tom Cruise and Val Kilmer playing beach volleyball. I don't know why that came into my mind. That was weird. All right. What else do you do for fun besides numbers and volleyball?
Took an improv class.
Yeah.
In Ottawa. Yeah.
Nice.
Trying to get to know the people at the improv embassy.
Yeah.
Otherwise, that's pretty much it. I work a lot.
Okay. So stop. Let's back up. Accountant. Improv class.
That's right.
Sounds like two things that don't typically happen. What's going on?
I haven't met anybody else, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things that like I didn't come across until I was an adult.
Yeah.
I got injured and didn't think I was going to play volleyball again. And so I was like, and I was watching all this Who's Line.
Oh, okay.
I was like, I could do that.
Yeah.
That seems easy. So I signed up in Victoria with Dave Morris.
Okay.
Yeah. And it was just like, this is the greatest thing of my life. And I tell my mom and she's like, yeah, well, you've kind of been doing that your whole life.
Oh my God. Oh. It's such a contradiction.
It is, yeah.
Right? Like I think accountants, introverted, do
mostly.
Do your thing. And here you are, playing volleyball and improvising. That's awesome.
It's been super cool though to do admin work for like the Kinkanauts. I was the treasurer for the Kinkanauts for a number of years.
Oh, right on.
So that's been a really interesting, like, to use that to be the only business person in the room.
Right. A room full of artists.
Yeah, and so to try and explain to them like the really technical business stuff has been super good for me.
Yeah. To
learn the language to use with people.
Yeah, make it simple.
Yeah, and understand how people feel about it and like think about it and that sort of thing. But also to be an accountant for a not-for-profit is so cool because nobody cares how much they're making.
Ah.
Yeah, it's all about how can we pay people more.
Right. Wow.
Which that was a hard shift for me.
Really? Yeah. Talk about flipping the script.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
And to go from dealing in millions or billions to dealing in like hundreds of dollars or thousands of dollars.
Well, they're doing well if it's thousands.
Yeah.
Oh, that's wild.
Yeah, that's been a really cool experience.
Have you had to do anything with now this would be here, but AGLC, like do any of the like fundraising that not-for-profits typically do in Alberta? Like casinos and stuff?
Right. Yeah. We talked about doing a casino and to me, it didn't make any sense. They really wanted to, they were pushing for it. And I said to them, okay, like I'm okay with this. However, if you look at how much a casino typically makes, that's about 2-3 times our normal operating budget.
Yeah.
So the idea that you're going to spend all this money in 2 or 3 years, like we might do it, but then what?
Yeah.
Then suddenly the organization is maybe 2 or 3 times what it was. We don't have capacity for that. We don't have structure. We don't have we're going to break ourselves if we try and do that.
Right. Yeah. Cause you get a dump of $75,000 that you've got to get, literally you have to get rid of. Like you got to spend it.
You've got 2 years.
Yeah.
And so I said, okay, but here are my concerns.
Yeah.
And so they sort of said, okay, well, let's wait for a little while. And you have specific things that you can spend money on too.
Oh yeah, exactly. And I know from having been sort of on that side of it, like on a not for profit, it's tough, and the accounting is tough too. From what I hear, just to make sure that the money goes to the right place. So you got to be very, very transparent, which is fine. You just got to, you could accidentally spend money where you shouldn't if you don't know better.
That's right. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So we got YouTube channel. We got online courses. We got private practice. chartered accountant. We've got volleyball. We've got improv. And you are probably pretty exhausted by the end of this. Do you watch Netflix?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay. Do you have a favorite show?
I was watching the Marie Kondo, the Tidying Up show.
I've heard a lot about her.
Yeah. It was so weird to watch that show.
Yeah.
Because it was like watching my process with clients in a way.
Really?
Yeah, because she goes in and she has this very specific way that she does things. And
Yeah.
she's like, here's the steps that you need to take. But she's also facilitating this emotional shift.
Wow.
And she doesn't like push that exactly. And she's not a like trained mental health professional.
Yeah.
So she doesn't try to like analyze them.
Yeah.
But yeah, she just sort of facilitates this shift for her clients. I was like, oh man, that's so familiar to me.
Oh, that's cool.
So I've been a little bit obsessed with that show because of that.
That is what a neat idea that it's transplantable, right? Like the methodology doesn't matter what you apply it to. The methodology remains the same. Mm-hmm. Interesting. I'll have to give that a watch. Do you have time to read ever?
I read a lot of business books.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been reading like Russell Brunson's stuff.
Okay.
Because I really like the accounting part I understand, and for my own business, but as well as like doing the work I understand. Yeah. But it's just like every other business owner, right? Like you're really good at what you do. Mine happens to cross over to doing it for myself, like because I'm an accountant.
Yeah.
But I also have these huge gaps, right? Like I don't know sales and marketing. That's not a thing I've ever had to do.
Right.
So I'm just trying to like get all the knowledge so that I just keep trying stuff. But oh man, it drives me nuts though. Cause like you do it, but there's not really a measurable, like you can't be like, if I do this, then this will happen.
Right.
Else this.
Yeah.
So in my logical linear brain, I can't handle the like, if I keep putting stuff out, eventually the long game will pay off.
Yeah.
How do I know?
Yeah. Oh my God. Well, yeah, because I do stuff with clients all the time with like people used to love to buy magazine ads, which is crazy to me because there's no way to quantify what that, and some of them would be a $15,000 spend.
Oh my goodness.
Right. Just for one page in a magazine, in the right side of the book, you know, or the back cover or whatever. And how do you know?
How do you know?
How do you know?
Yeah.
And that's where I think a lot of people have jumped on with, you know, Google and, you know, the sort of online advertising because now you know, but you don't really know.
But you don't really know.
Yeah. So it's pretty wild. You do have to drip things out there. I feel you've basically got to be in a lot of different places doing a lot of different things for people to be like, oh, okay, cool. You've hit critical mass now. You know, now we know, captains. A captain's club.ca.
Yeah. .ca.
Yeah.
We're launching in May, I think.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome. Oh, so don't go there yet.
Well, I have this like free workbook that I did.
Great.
So definitely you could go there,
go there
for that. Yeah. And it sort of explains the first 3 areas of business, like process, bookkeeping, and taxes are really the glamorous parts of business.
So glamorous.
And like why those are important, and then what's the first step in each one of those places.
Oh, nice.
And then the courses are like the more in-depth of each one of those.
Yeah. Now I did see them on the site. Can I buy them?
Yes.
Okay,
yeah. They're up. They're ready to go.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sweet. Okay. Well, I'm going to, right after this, I'm going to go download the free thing and I'm going to read it today.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What's next for you in this grand adventure?
To really focus on this membership site. I think that's the way that I'm going to reach the most people.
Yeah.
So right now it's trying to get my stuff out there so people understand what my mission is and how I go about doing things, and that I'm not a regular accountant.
You're not my father's accountant.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
I'm more interested in helping them run their business than in doing their like seeing them once a year kind of thing. I think that's more valuable.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think a proactive approach to all of these things is much better than trying to fix it after the fact.
That is so true.
Yeah, so that's really going to focus on this membership site, and I hope that's becomes I hope it's a thing.
Yeah.
Well, it'll be a thing because I'll do it.
It's a thing. Now, this membership site, is that Captain's Club?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Just so we're clear.
Yeah.
So it is actually already a thing.
Yes. Well, the beginnings of it. Yes. Yeah. The membership product itself is not yet.
Not quite yet.
But yes, the Captain's Club is the beginning. Yeah.
Awesome. So I'm sitting here with Captain Kirk.
Yes, that's right.
Kick ass.
I put a little asterisk on a lot of things. I was just like, not a real captain. Disclaimer.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we created a Facebook group so that people can, it's just a free group to come and talk about this finance and taxes. And because I found that in a lot of groups that are for business, people don't talk about that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I think it's a vulnerable space to talk about your money.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. So that's the goal of this club.
Nice.
I called it the Captain's Harbor.
Oh, nicely done. I like when you carry a metaphor.
Oh, yes. Yeah. We're having a lot of fun with the metaphor. Yeah.
I bet. Oh, my God. All right. So let's tie this up with a nice, neat bow.
Okay.
Now, I tend to think, and part of the reason why I do this show is because I just love meeting cool and weird people doing cool and weird things. That's kind of a thing. I love rebels because I love it when people do things differently. But I also know that there's a lot of people out there that are, I call them rebels in waiting, and they're kind of like, they want to do something. They're not entirely sure, if they can. So I've been trying to sort of collect advice from the different rebels that are on the show. What sort of advice would you give a rebel in waiting when they're not just starting an accounting firm or whatever, but they're just ready to take that step to the next adventure? How did you do it?
Well, as a true accountant, I tried to hedge it as long as possible. I was building this business on the side and then had this unfortunate shove into, well, I guess I'm doing it now. But I think it's certainly what I've learned from the first few months of business is just try stuff. Yeah. Just do it. And you're like that idea of rapid prototyping. Yeah. Just keep doing stuff and failing at it because that's the way that you learn. Yeah. I'm trying to do like a Fail Friday where we celebrate failure.
Nice.
Yeah. From learning from improv. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah. How can we fail faster? How can we fail forward? Yeah. Because you're always busy, and your next week always looks less busy because it's next week and you haven't filled it yet. Right. So just do it. Yeah. Just do it now. What can you do today? What's the one thing you can do today?
Cool. Yeah, go do that thing.
Go do that thing. Yeah, it's like a rock down a hill. It just keeps picking up speed the more you do stuff.
That's awesome. I love the idea of failing faster. I think that's unique. I don't think I've heard a rebel say that at all in the 30 some odd shows that we've done. Cool. Yeah. So I'm going to hang on to that one as well. And do it, man. Yeah. Just don't stop.
Yeah. And I learn way more from doing stuff that doesn't work.
Sure.
Than doing stuff that does work. And I've been thinking about this in the last few months about my life as a whole and how this is going to sound arrogant, I think. But I don't have a lot of failure that I can tell you about. Right. And I think it's because partly I'm a perfectionist. Right. So I have this need to, but partly because I don't risk very much.
Right. Well, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so you'd be risk adverse as an accountant anyways, but I think that you've sort of broken that mold. But I think to your point, risk more.
Yeah. And do stuff 80% and then be done.
Right, 80-20.
That's right. Oh man, I've learned that real quick. You just don't perfect is a moving target. Yeah. Whoops. So my idea of perfect is not maybe your idea of perfect.
Sure.
So even if I've reached my perfect, which took me, far longer than I probably should have spent on it.
Yeah.
Somebody else is going to look at it and not think that.
Right. They'll be like, oh, yeah, you could have done better.
Yeah, or like even just, that's great, and move on. Like when you do stuff and you're close to it.
Right.
Then you see all the, it's like when you tile and you put in one tile that's crooked and nobody notices, but you're like, that one tile.
That's right. You know,
Yeah.
the grout just isn't quite perfect.
That's right. Yeah. Like, just do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, this has been a ton of fun. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah. Thank you for having me. This has been fun. Yeah.
Rebel Accountant. Captain Kirk.
That's right. Captain Kirk.
Captain Kirk, Rebel Accountant.
Can I use that clip for like a voiceover?
Totally.
Great.
Done.
Thank you.
Thanks again for listening, and thank you to our sponsor, Friday Sock Company, for being crazy cool and bringing us the fun. Every day should be Friday. Check out FridaySock.co. Our next episode welcomes Rob Mitchelson. It's the wild ride of an independent singer-songwriter who self-produced and distributed a couple of albums and has gone toe-to-toe with Spotify. He's hilarious and on a mission. Check it out on the next episode of Rebel, now on Radio Public.